everyone. So I just wanted to come today and introduce you to the myth, the legends behind earth tree healing, and the beautiful music that comes out of it, and that's Miss Claudine West. I'm glad I'm able to have a little conversation with her today about her music, because I don't get to do that very often. Usually I'll just listen. So when you're creating your music, how do you come up with the idea of the music, the way that you go with the music, especially when we've got things like the Goddess album and the new Gods album, which is coming out on the February
2nd of February, yeah, 2021.
Oh yeah, it's a great album, people. So how do you come up with the music? How do you tune in as such?
They tend to kind of connect and say, I want to be birthed musically, I want to be realised in a kind of musical, notational way. And it's like, I did the Goddess album, there's loads of goddesses. I've just completed the Gods album, and they kind of chose me. I don't go, I've got to this specific god because that's the most popular, and they kind of flow through. I'll say, right, I'm going to do a session, I'm going to spend a few days or whatever recording something. I'll meditate, I'll connect into the whole ethos of what that god is about, what that god does, do a little bit of research as well. I'm not a historian, expert on religion or anything, so, and then I meditate, and it just tends to, the essence flows.
Yeah.
I mean, the Gods album is very keyboard orientated. I'd be doing like string parts on the keyboards. I don't play cello, but it kind of realises. I mean, the Gods has been probably the most complex album I've done, with the elements layering tracks of synths with with string sections on a lot of it. Very complicated in parts.
It is amazing how it all sort of interconnects together, and how it all sort of grows into these beautiful pieces of music and these beautiful, stunning pieces of artwork as such.
I wanted to capture like the masculine energy, like the goddess had the feminine energy, and the masculine, the power of the gods. So it's not going to be an album for meditation. It's got a lot of, there's some elements of it. It's relaxed. There is some relaxing music, but there's some very powerful music to embrace. That strength and power with.
Yeah.
Which we've road tested it. We've always road tested an album in the car.
Quite a few times, actually. It's been quite nice to actually sit in the car and listen to the Gods album all the way through from start to finish. And we just went out for a drive. Obviously, we've been in lockdown, so we couldn't really do much else. So we went out for a drive, and we solidly went out for the whole album to listen to it from start to finish. And it really does flow, and it really does encompass the gods that Claude's picked up on and the deities there. I mean, there's Ganesh, there's Kanunos, there's the Dagda, there's Apollo, there's Neptune.
Neptune's quite epic. It really captures the kind of strength and the dark power of the sea, and
it is really epic. There's Lu. Lu's quite good.
I really like Lu.
Who's obviously the god of thunder. We'll speak a bit more about the gods later on. Individually. We'll have some more follow-up little interviews for you on that, of us actually getting into the crux of what's going on with the gods and the gods. But yeah, you've got such a wide variety of a back catalogue now, haven't you? And it's growing year on year on year.
I mean, the indulgence is to do every single god in albums, but the ones I've chosen for this.
I don't think your life's going to be long enough to be able to do every god and goddess.
Wow, yeah, that's a lifelong thing. I mean,
that is a life.
I mean, in 2020, I was privileged to work on a project which will be announced at some point with a collaborative project, and I did 81 instrumental tracks, and we're doing some more. We had a meeting the other day, and we're doing some more in 2021 and ongoing, which is great, really good, and really enjoyed that. For all the times that we weren't allowed to have a kind of freedom in the outdoors and kind of go out and do normal things, I thought, well, I'm going to be productive and be my own therapist to make my own well-being and create some music. So the Gods album was recorded during you know, the last year of 2020 as well, and
Mm.
it was thoroughly enjoyable. You know, I've been lucky enough to be working from home the majority of 2020, so I could like just finish work, shut my laptop down, and then home studio it and create something. And at weekends,
Yeah.
it's like just get in there
And I mean, it's been a great release for you as well, hasn't it? Because you get quite claustrophobic in the house.
I can do sometimes.
So having that release of being able to go and do your music is a real cathartic method for you, isn't it?
I get TV claustrophobic, that I can't just vegetate. Whereas you can
does.
sit and watch series after series. I can't bear it. I have to go and do something. And
Yeah.
it's like we've had New Year, and even though I've had a few slobby roundy days, and you know, I find it really frustrating now. Like later on today, I have to go up and record some new music and write some stuff because I just feel unproductive. It's like the drive of the creative is you're constantly producing. I thought, well, I've just finished Gods, I'll have a break and then do something in a few months. I'm like, no, I need to go and do something now because I feel really frustrated that I don't think I've created anything recent, you know, the last few weeks. So
yeah. So with the new Gods album, taking it back to music for a minute.
Okay.
With the new Gods album that's coming out on February the 2nd, you can buy it from all major stores, all major downloads.
Or stream it.
The lot, or stream it. It's going to be out there the same as everything else. What track would have been your favourite track off of that album if you had to choose?
I like Dionysus.
You do like Dionysus.
I love that. I love that track. It's so like vibrant and full of dancey energy, and it's just really happy track. And I love that. It just makes you want to like, oof. Yeah, I listen to it on headphones in bed and I'm like, yes. But there's a few I like Apollo. I like some of the more rhythmical.
Yeah. See, I really, really like Kanounos on this album. It's such a for this album, where we had Morrigan on the Goddess album, which I loved, and a lot of people love that song.
Don't I know it? Because she constantly plays it in the car.
It's a great driving song, and she proper makes you drive. You definitely get to where you need to go to when Morrigan's on the CD player, I'll tell you. I think Kanounos is the equivalent to the Morrigan for me on this album. I
had to try and give something that would accompany, you know, that for you.
Although Claude has done the Dagda on this album as well, who obviously has a connection with Morrigan, being in a relationship with Morrigan and having children with Morrigan. So the Dagda's a good one as well. The Dagda's a really good one on this album too. I bet you can kind of guess what sort of deity path I follow.
You also wanted to me to do Hades.
Yes, I really felt drawn for Claude to do Hades on this album in particular. There's been quite a few times when people have asked for me to do Hades as an incense, and where people's been quite drawn to Hades recently, and it was while Claude was doing this album, and I sort of said, you need to do Hades on this album, and I don't know why he was calling to me. I do now, but at the time I didn't. So that was quite interesting. That was an interesting path for you, wasn't it? Because you started off with Hades, and it wasn't Hades that came out originally, was it? It was someone else.
No, a different track came out, which we'll describe the later ones. But then I did really like, you know, because thinking, do I want to do the God of the Underworld? But then no, he did come through, and we put it as the final track on the album.
And it's really good. It's really deep and powerful and a little bit dark, but it's really deep and powerful would be the words I'd use for that track. It's beautiful. It's a stunning track. I think you've definitely made Hades proud with that.
I nailed it, did I?
Yeah, definitely.
So I mean, I could have gone on, I could have done more and more and more, but I thought, no, was it 15 tracks?
I think it was 15.
We had to like draw the line then. I was like, come on.
Otherwise it'd become a double CD.
Because if I did a double album, that puts me more pressure to, you know.
Yeah.
And it was complete, and it feels complete, it feels good, and it's got that, you know, that difference to God, you know, Goddess. It's really kind of accompanies it in the masculine feminine juxtaposition.
Because you've got to have that balance, people. You've got to have the both, unfortunately. I do wholly believe that there needs to be a balance in the male-female energies, and I do wholly believe that if you've got a goddess, you need a god as well, and if you've got a god, you need a goddess there. And it's just one of those things that I believe personally. Not everybody does. I quite often use goddesses more than gods, but then I do use the gods as well. So, you know, it is a personal choice there. And I think with the music, you can use this music as part of rituals and as part of spell work. And I've already used it as part of a ritual. We're actually going to be using Ganesh later as part of the ritual that I'm planning later on today. So, and spell work I'm going to be doing later on today. So yes, you can use these as part of rituals and spell work, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, you're more
part of
into the spell work and rituals person. I'm
But
the musician.
Your magic is your music, isn't it? Because it flows through you and it becomes magical with what you do.
I mean, I try and, even though I do make some videos of the writing and recording process, which I'd never kind of remember once I finished it. It kind of, I go blank like I wasn't there. It was like a kind of trance. I'm in a blissful bubble when I'm doing it, and I absolutely love it, but I just can't remember note for note what I'm doing and things. I mean, the way I create is I improvise. I don't go, oh, I've got to do that in the key of A and press that particular, note and all this kind of stuff. So it's kind of, it's just an amazing experience I enjoy, and I don't remember it afterwards. So,
which is great.
But luckily, I've got the music as the memory.
Yeah.
Of doing it.
And it is a great album, and we will post a link up to it when it's been released, and we will get that put up for everybody. And that's out on the February the 2nd, 2021. Start to a great new year, hopefully. And I just want to say thanks to you, Claude, for creating this beautiful music and creating this album. And I'm sure there's lots of people around the world that has really, really enjoyed it, and thank you. So
I hope you do.
I think that's time to say goodbye. See you later.
Later.